Ayo, o mind this year, me church will be biara. I am some for hallelujah ye. And then so my sign abamunche biem, me church will be biara, baby biara ubia, me church will be a me pamucho, me bamunche anopa, awia, and you fanya, and your bonny biara. Say na outri muno, wa would me share video na edi kaye, you know. A far a weedicide, in sunsan soa, a de ba adasa, ya bra bomuno. Ananse yakwai mu no ena eden yedi ho dwuma edi nti no mesre wo a wanya first video no bia anhwe bia no hwehwe first video no na hwe na video etoso mienu no pamucho moma yenkohwe ananse moma yenhwe na yenhu kwanya ebefa so a yebetimi aboye ho ban titiriw se aban no yesre aban no mpanyimfo mo ka ebemu nyina no yesremu ehemfo obi biara oka ebemu no asofo malam adifo ne nasefo no nyina na mo ka ebem no yesremu moma yentu ade ho na mo na edi yewu papa efise nhwehwemu a ya no ekuma manfo bebre but ena nipa bebre so enim enti mesremu samre wa wonsa beka video bia ne se ubetumi a enye enhye so ubetimi na so pese wo boa adasa mesrew sendema wonua bi na wonua bi ebia wo no emwa na ebia wonua bi ananse wo faase bi oba bi ukunu bi ana odofo bi no ebetimi aboa no ewo na brabo ma ananse aboa ye nyina ye wo wiase mu titiru ye man Ghana mu a mani beje pa enti no mesremu ada nia etie ne se weedicide na eden yedi gu wura so ekum no edua enuade no in fact edi ewu papa yedi video no ebeba obiara behu mwankasa nhwehwemu a ya ene amanfo eden testimony ene enye Ghana nko wiase afana baabi te se America ne Europe ne nasefo no wono mu nyina eden edi ho adanse nanso enam se ene wiase mu no akwakwa ese mpanyimfo na wonom wo saa companies mu no enam ne a omunya firi mu nti no omu mpese sebe enkase awudure enkebeja isu na ene se sia na yehwe ye man Ghana mu a sia no kwanya even though ye faso eyusu no eyusu sa weedicide no enye eye totally wrong na anything even though abrochire hakora na ya yewe se wono ma eden edisa nure eye enyuma no wono mo emfa ngu baabi ya eden wono bedue enuaba no eso eduaba sebe yebeti edi no eden wono mo nyeden emfa ngu ho eye baabi a kwanchen anase memfa nse ye kotwi kasema omo se nkwanse ana kwan ho baabi ye nua eden aduade no eho na ede wonom digu but yene ye man Ghana mu dia dabi baabi ye dua aduade no eho na eden ye spray sa weedicide ye egu enitin enye mesremo mensada mensayem momanye yenye de yentimi moboye ho na saa awudure enkai betumi a mpanyimfo a moka bi ebam momanye de momeyensia no na enesen ahase ikura no wono ma ye no omo ya omo timi hye atade bit se waterproof bi asabi aduro no entimi nkan den wono wede hu omo sa hye mask na opon nia wono ye nyina no kura no omo nya nsunsuanso na mo maye hwe ye man Ghana mu obi kwakọ ose o mekobo spray na ye den o kwakọ no mask kura no onhye bi ebi kura no even though long stress kura no onhye bi just short term bi nu ahye o sha obo ai spray ni di nanim kan eni nti no oboko nyina no na spray na eden de edro na odigu den wura no so no wura no bi ka se o hye stress a ka stress no kore eden na widie mu straight eni nti no kum ye papa nti mesremu ada mesremu mpanyimfo mo ka bia eba mu Momma yenhwe na ade yentimi nyeden entu ho anamo. Efi se ekum ye papa. Medamose bebre. Momma yenko na yenkohwe video a edikai no. Medamose bebre.
Over the years, our hospitals and courts have witnessed some major public health scandals, tobacco and asbestos being two of the largest and most enduring. Well, right now, a new storm is emerging, and incredibly, the culprit may just be sitting on a shelf in your backyard shed. 4 years ago, the World Health Organization warned that the herbicide glyphosate, the main ingredient in weed killer Roundup, probably causes cancer. Created by chemical giant Monsanto, Roundup is the most widely used weed killer on Earth. Sprayed on everything from gardens to footpaths to fields of crops. It is quite simply everywhere. Now, in a series of landmark verdicts, juries in America agree the stuff can kill you. With the legal floodgates open and the first Australian case looming, farmers and gardeners are holding their breath. If ever there was an illustration of the divide between town and country, it's over the use of Roundup. While most in the cities look at the herbicide with increasing suspicion, in the bush, Roundup is as fundamental to farming as an Akubra hat and good rain. So this stuff is extremely important for farmers.
Absolutely. It was like a revolution when it arrived. It's enabled us to actually use what we call no-till. So it means instead of ploughing up the land every time you want to sow a crop, you actually leave the old crop on top of the soil. It protects the soil.
Fiona Simpson is both a farmer and the president of the National Farmers Federation. So if farmers didn't have Roundup, if they weren't allowed to use it, would it be a game changer?
It's a huge game changer, and in actual fact the advent of Roundup was a game changer because in the old days we spent our whole time just ploughing the soils, trying to dig up the weeds in that way, which then exposed us to A, lot of fossil fuel use, but B, also the environmental impacts on soils.
So there's a lot riding on this.
There's a lot riding on it, and you know, farmers across Australia at the moment really are incredibly worried about this hype that's going on worldwide about the court cases in America.
And this is the man who triggered the legal tsunami, Lee Johnson from California, who right now is one of the most famous cancer patients in the world. I can see those lesions on your hands. That's it's not good, is it?
Yeah, you know, like this hand is in worse condition than this hand right now, but so that's the big thing with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is that your white blood cells just start to do too much dancing around and it gets a whole different party happening.
Lee has incurable non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and is the first ever person to successfully sue Monsanto and its herbicide Roundup for causing cancer. So your victory has meant that there are now thousands of other cancer sufferers coming forward and suing Monsanto.
Right.
You've really unleashed a monster, haven't you?
Something has happened.
From fairways to family homes, from parks to paddocks, Roundup and its principal ingredient called glyphosate has been used around the world and across Australia for 40 years. It's been marketed as a harmless herbicide.
No need to pump, just point and shoot. Hit him in the leaves and it kills to the root. Roundup, extended control.
A superhero in the eternal fight against evil weeds. Roundup's manufacturer, Monsanto, points to 800 studies saying it's perfectly safe.
For y'all that don't know, I am an integrated pest manager / groundsman. I get dirty every day.
The people who trained you in this, in using it,
Yeah.
what did they tell you about the safety?
They said it's safe enough to drink. They said you can wear PPE if you need to or if you think you should. Or if you don't need to, it's okay as long as you shower after.
Sorry, safe enough to drink?
Oh, yeah. I heard that more than once, safe enough to drink.
Lee Johnson didn't take any chances though. He always wore his PPE, personal protective equipment, when he was killing weeds here at Benicia High School. north of San Francisco, where he worked as a groundsman between 2012 and 2015. This is just one of the schools where you used to spray.
This is actually the hill that I was spraying when my biggest exposure happened.
Well, when the hose broke.
Yeah, when the hose broke.
This school now only holds bad memories for Lee after he was drenched in Roundup when the hose broke. When you had that malfunction here on the hill, it just washed inside your suit.
I had on my Tyvek suit, which has a little lapel right up here, collar. So it got down in the lapel, it got down in the collar, it got down on there in my face, everywhere on my neck. So after I took off the Tyvek suit, my work shirt was wet and everything was wet.
Soaked in it?
Yeah, soaked in it down to my skin.
You were covered in poison,
yeah,
effectively, but you still thought that was okay.
Right, because I got it on me a lot. I got it on me all the time. Every morning that I was spraying, I always get the drift, I always get a little bit on my cheeks, on my forehead, because I only could have so much coverage.
In 2014, Lee developed a rash on his knee that started to spread over his entire body.
It was serious, it was very ugly, and it became painful. So I went to get help from a local clinic, and yeah, it just snowballed from there, where I ended up from that doctor to a dermatologist to having biopsies to being diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Lee wasn't out to create history, but he started suspecting Roundup was the cause of his terminal cancer. Running out of time, and with a young family, he decided to take Monsanto on.
He had a type of cancer called mycosis fungoides, which is a type of lymphoma that was very aggressive. And that's actually why his case was the first one to go to trial.
Brent Wisner was the lead attorney in Lee Johnson's case, which went to trial in California last year. It was his job to convince a jury that Roundup causes cancer.
Right now, we're in that moment when the first lawsuits expose the truth about cigarettes. We're in the same exact moment right now, historically, for Roundup. 40 years from now, we're gonna look back at this time and go, what fools we were. Of course it causes cancer. How did it take us so long to figure it out? But in that fight, in that moment, it's hard to see that history that's being made right now.
Madam Foreperson, does the jury have a verdict?
On August the 11th last year, the jury had reached its verdict.
Was the Roundup Pro or Ranger Pro design a substantial factor in causing harm to Mr. Johnson? Answer, yes.
The jury found that Roundup did cause Lee Johnson's cancer and awarded him $289 million US, later reduced to $78 million and now subject to an appeal.
It was a pretty large amount, and people in the courtroom, it was totally quiet. You know, you could hear a pin drop. It even looked like the judge was a little bit amazed.
Ayo, o mind this year, Samre yen nyina yakɔhwɛ video no bae no, yehu kwan a ɛden aduro yi ɛfa so yɛden edi yɛ na wu. Nti mesremo adɔfo no, mesremo mensada mensayem. Moma yɛde moma yentu ho na mo. Na efri sɛ yɛman Ghana kura mu no kwan a wo mo fa so yusu aduro no enyenyenyenyenyenyenyenyenye. Obi sɛ yɛden okobo spray na ɔkɔ akɔbɔ no onhyɛ mask. Ena according to the minim no abruchire hase no wono ma ye nyina no omo ya womo ebinim most of them no omo waterproof bi atade bi omo sha se aduro no bi kura guma enko wono widiem eno kura no opon weinim nyina achi no momma yenhwe yade a yeden amafo enya eno kura no na how much more yemman Ghana mu a nipa dodo se na ekobo spray a omo timi nya sa protection no wonu mo nya bi obi kura kwa akọbọ asebi nika no hye so na even though se stress kura na hye wo na stress no ebefo efi se wura no eden ewo wanim na afidie yi eden omode spray soko edintin eka ede watade num a ekọ wo ho nanum straight na aduru a hwe yenhwe aduru a yedi gu ade so a within ebi ho 24 hours kura ma ukọhwe de wura na ya sa pepepepe o ena ekoye bidie num no akoye na ade yi emma prekope eba nkakran wani beba ho so no na asai sebe eden ye mu niema nyina enintin anuanom mesrem momma yentu ade ho na mo na kwan ye befa so ye betumatu ase no momma ye mfa so na eden yentu ase ena meka no first video ye amanfo afrem adi ho adanse no meka ebia obi tinche obeka se meboa nti mesrem video momma ye nhye na enuru eden panyimfo nanim na wo eden wo ye bi no mesrem ebetum ye jai na wankasankasa no ene beboa wo. If you say Bible say nia onim no ohun obetwa no ma kakra bi na nia onim no na wanya no ibetwa no ma pi nti wo a ene won saka video yi ya aduro bi wo yusu no mesrew ebetumi ejai na wo ankasankasa ene beboa wo nti medamase bebre mosomfo hallelujah nie pamocho se obi pese ofrɛ me a me number nie 0044 798-464-8165. Me pa mo chowo sa won second video yi na so betima share ma afoforo opeso a subscribe ye sa wo Facebook so obetima eden obetima like obetima share ama afoforo biara eden atumi ahwebi me da mase bebre nyame nhiro biara me da mase se mo timi asopam me da mase o mo somfo hallelujah nie ene na hallelujah say bye.